This video, this intro, is meant to piss you just a little bit off. Meant to fucking flex, but it's meant to show you what is possible when you run a successful AI agency. This client right here, you can see, has paid us $76,000. But today it is Friday and we always charge on Fridays, which means that I'll go in and charge what they owe us. So basically we send out SMS to their age leads. We book in a bunch of appointments that they didn't book themselves, and they pay $60 for each appointment, and now I can charge for that. I go in, I create a payment, see how much it is. It is $45.60 right here. I write a note for myself, which is, it was 76 appointments, and it was paid March 14th, 2025, and then we click create payment. But that is how you do it. That is how you charge your clients. We have their payment method on file, which means that we have a contract that says that we can charge for the appointments that come in. And that is all AI. I haven't worked on this project the last week, and now I charge $4,500, which is a good monthly salary from 1 week from one client. That is the power of AI, and that is the leverage that you will learn in this guide. This guide will go over exactly how you create the AI, create the brain behind the AI, how it responds, and then also how you connect it to things that are such as SMS, for example. This is SMS right here. It could also be Instagram, it could be Facebook, it could be WhatsApp, Telegram, Twitter. If a service has an API, then you can connect it, but more on that later. Let's get started. Let's jump into the guide. Oh yeah, and one other thing. Oliver, my sales guy, this guy right here.
Essentially, it would be the person that we pick that gets the revenue and get you as their client long term. Then
Okay.
And then depending on the usage, you would pay a retainer each month at a couple $100. Would you be open to do it?
Yeah, I'd be down to do that.
Current client of ours that wanted a website support bot. So instead, Oliver asked him if we could hire one of you, which means that if you go through this course and you can prove that you went through the course and learned what you needed to know to set up the AI, then you can get to create an AI website widget and get your first client and get your first revenue, because you'll pay a couple of $100 a month for you setting that up. So make sure when you've finished the course to send us a message, and we will include you in our decision of who to pick. All right, let's get started. AI 101. What is common for all AI is that you have some lead somewhere, some person sending a message, which is going to an AI in the middle, and then the AI is handling that response and sending it back. And here's how we do it. The lead channel is where the person writes. This could be on Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you want. It could also be SMS, it could be on a website, and it could also be WhatsApp, Telegram, it could be Twitter, whatever. Then we connect this AI to our AI brain, the AI that's actually handling the response and sending it back. To connecting it, we use Make.com and HighLevel, more on that later. And to create that AI brain, we use OpenAI, which handles the AI part. And then we use testmyprompt.com, which handles the AI creation part. And testmyprompt.com is actually my own software, which I created for my own agency. More on that later. Make.com, we then use that to send it back, and then that is going back to the user. And that is how we can provide immense amount of value, because this runs 24/7, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't take coffee breaks, and we can handle infinite amount of leads, which means the bigger company that we can work with, the more we can charge. Let's get into it. We will start with the AI brain of how to creating that. Let's start with creating the AI brain. And the first tool we'll be using is the tool that we use. And it's actually a tool that we created for our own AI agency. And it's called testmyprompt.com. And you can see it's my software right here. I'm on the video. And it's meant to handle all the things that are hard about starting an automation agency, creating the AI, actually making a good AI, making that as easy as possible. And when designing and creating this software, the only thing I've had in mind is how do I make this as easy for an AI agency to start out creating their AI and instantly have a good product. Basically what is inside this software is AI creation. So you describe the AI, you describe the company information. You can even take a solar website or a website for your client, you can paste it in, and it'll instantly just create an FAQ that you can use in your AI. The same with everything else, the language, you can specify that and it'll create a good prompt for you every single time. The second thing that we have included is testing. With AI, it's very important that you test it, and usually you would have to go through that manually, which can take hours. Instead, we have created a testing tool that lets you try hundreds of conversations at a time. And we use this every single day to test our AIs to make sure they respond the right way. You can see this has 400 conversations right here, and you can see which ones are the good ones and then which ones are the not so good ones. And the most important thing about this tool, especially if you are a beginner, is that you can create an AI or import an AI. Then you can create a test, one of those tests that I just showed. You can import this and you can import the questions into the chat. You can get AI to fix it. The AI will then go through and it'll look at your prompt, see, okay, where is it going wrong? And it'll import this and fix it. So this is just a tool for you to make AI creation and prompt creation much more easy. But again, it's not necessary to use this tool, and I want this course to be valuable no matter what. So after showing this tool and showing how we do it in our AI agency, I'll also show you how we can do it without this tool. Basically, I thought that I'll give you a discount code if you want to start. Just click Get Started right here, which takes you to Stripe, and if you write Albert is the GOAT and click Apply, you get 50% off the first 3 months, which should give you a bunch of clients that makes this very, very worth it. I want this to be valuable no matter what. If you don't want to acquire this tool, that's totally fine. I'll show you the guide at the end of this for how you then proceed. But of course, I think this tool is really valuable. I use it myself every single day. But let's get started, shall we, using this tool. Let's get started with how we create AIs inside of our AI agency. And this is the way that we have found to make the absolute best AIs that are good enough for publicly listed companies, which is clients that we have signed. Just go to testmyprompt.com, click Get Started, and then remember, please, to use my discount code, which is Albert is the GOAT. I'm forcing you to write that in. And then go through this process right here of signing up. When you have signed up, it'll take you to this page right here. Remember to use the exact same email that you used right before. I'll just sign up with this email right here. And this will send an email to the email that I signed up with. And all you have to do is go in, click sign in, and now you are in. Like that. Then I'll go through how to build an agent, how to test an agent, and then how to use AI to improve the agent inside of the tool. This is what the next few videos will be about. When you have logged in, this is where you're going to be on the dashboard of your tests. But we will first create an API key. If I go to build agent on the left side right here, you can see and create a build. You can say it's going to ask for my API key. And we need an API key for OpenAI, and this is the way we do it. So first things first is we go to platform.openai right here. I'll show you exactly how you sign up. Top right corner, just click sign up. 1 second, let me get some power to my computer. There we go. And then you sign in with your email. You can also sign up with Google. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up with this Google account right here. I'm going to click continue, and then I'm just going to write in my name and some birthday. Doesn't really matter what birthday you write in here. And click continue. There we go. Down here, just click accept all and call your organization whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it testmyprompt.com, and what describes you somewhat technical. It doesn't really matter. Well, we couldn't call it that. I'll just call it Albert's AIs like this, and then create. And then you can invite your team. I'll invite my team later. And the first API key, we'll also wait with doing this. And then we can add API credits. I usually just start with $5 of credit, and this is going directly to OpenAI. So fill in your payment details to sign up for the credits for $5. So I'll fill in these details, and then I'll see you on the other side. When you have logged in, you'll get to this overview right here. all you need to do is click Dashboard, top right corner, go down to API keys, click top right, call API keys, just call it something like testmyprompt.com API key, set it to the default project right here, and click Create Secret Key. And you then copy this, because we are going to use this in a second. Then we take the API key that we just created from inside of OpenAI. We go back into testmyprompt.com, and this is where we insert it. We click Save, and now the API key is saved successfully. Let's look at how to actually build your prompt. So I will clear all of these fields right here, and let's start over so you know everything that is going on. And then on the left side, you will go to Build Agent. And this is where we create our builds, our first initial prompt, from having nothing to having a very good prompt in literally seconds. And I'll show you how this works. You click Create a Build, and then you give it a name that you want to remember. This could be Solar AI for suntan, for example. This is just an example. And then I've made this docs right here, which includes a template for how you very easily can insert information and get a very, very good AI that can handle sales, can handle customer support. And the first AI build name, that's what we just inserted. And we just call it something to remember. Maybe we even give it a 1. Just remember, okay, this is the first version that we're making for this company. The second step is a short description of what the AI should be used for. And when you get more advanced, of course, you can change these things to whatever you want to create an AI for. But for now, let's create an AI that works as a receptionist for a solar company. You can even say called suntan like this. Friendly, engaging, but also have the sales skills of Jeremy Minor. And I click Save. Next step is how should the conversation flow? And this depends on what you're creating an AI for. Let's say that you want an AI that is really good at sales. The way you usually do sales is that you ask questions for them, for the customer to make a decision. Okay, this makes sense. This is interesting. So I've just created a template conversation flow right here that I know works because I've used this for a client. But basically what we're writing is the AI should handle any objection and question first. So always in the conversation, if the client says an objection or something, we should acknowledge or answer that question. That is very important, because if we just ignore what they are saying, they are going to feel left out. It's going to be weird. It's not going to sound good. So we always want the AI first to handle right here any question or objection first. And then it should ask each of these questions one by one to go through the conversation flow. How long have you been looking at solar? They might say, I've been looking for years. Or they might say, I just started looking. It's just a conversation starter to get the conversation started. Then we ask, what is the monthly bill? And this is important in solar because if they have a high monthly bill, it means they can save a lot on solar. So we are asking questions, and this is something you should learn for every single industry. We should ask questions where the customer response shows that they have a need. If they say, well, my bill is very high, then we can use that in the conversation to sell them a sales call, for example. Next step, this is actually a 3-1 or 3-2, so 2 different scenarios. If the client says that they have a bill over $200, which is considered high, that the AI is going to say that is quite high. We could definitely look at bringing that down. With mornings, afternoons usually work well for a phone call. And this is a sales tactic that works insanely well. So please, if you're selling a phone call, a sales call, use this. With mornings, afternoons usually work best. That is if it's over 200, we're going to say that's quite high. If it's under 200, we're going to say, oh, that's pretty good. But we could definitely look at bringing that down. So either way, we still want to sell the sales call, because they can still save money with solar even if it's 150. But we want to make it really stand out if they have a high bill, because that increases conversion rate. So, and for the language, we usually just say, how formal do we want it? Do we want like a really formal AI? If it's an AI lawyer, we might not want to have some informal language. If it's a salesperson, it usually works best to be like casual, not too formal, because people are going to think that's boring. So this is a solar sales rep or a receptionist. We say informal and friendly language, like 2 friends texting on SMS. Grade 3 according to Hemingway app. And Hemingway app is a tool that basically says what grade is this, how easy is it to read. And usually it's really good to give AI this instruction because it knows what the Hemingway app is. Free, that is not very formal language and hard words. It's more casual, more friendly, exactly like two friends texting on SMS. And then we have the rules. This is just basic rules. You should add more as you go. But we only want to ask one question at a time to have the conversation flow. We never want to repeat a question. We don't use exclamation marks extensively. And we don't want to use smileys and emojis all the time, but sometimes. And then for the company information, we can go into a website. I'll show you this in a second. So you can take this, you can copy it right here by clicking File, make a copy, and then you can change the values inside of yourself, and then you can insert it into the AI. So let's take this first, copy it, insert it into the description of the AI, and click Save. Next up, we take the conversation flow. I copy this, insert it into the conversation flow field, like this. I click Save. The language right here, informed and friendly language, we insert it into the language field, click Save. The rules, insert it into the rules field, like this, click Save. And the company information, this is where it's really smart, and this can usually take hours to find the right information. We go to the client's website. I just Control A right here. Now you can see, okay, we get a bunch of products. We want to feed that to the AI. I just copy that in. Then I maybe go to the About Us page, the Our Story. That might be interesting as well for the AI to know. The page is loading right now. You can see this is the story of the company. I just click Control A again, copy it into the same field like that. Now we have all this. And let's see if we can find one thing. Contact us is also really, really good, because if they ask, where is the support number? How do I contact you? Then we probably have the email and the phone number in here, which the AI can then give them. So it's a shortcut. You can see now we have all this information. We click Save. And now we have enough information to create our AI. So what I do is that I generate with AI, and now it's building. And it will go to the dashboard page right now for our builds right here. And you can see Solar AI for Suntan 1 is now building. Awesome. Now our AI is done. We can then click into the assistant, and it will show us the prompt that it instructed. You can see here we have the key information about the products, about the location, contact number, business hours even. So all of these things are questions now can ask for, and the AI will have context and know it. And you can insert way more information into that field, and the AI will make a really, really good FAQ. You can also see we have the sequence question now, which is awesome. That is the first step. Now we have our first draft of the prompt. Now we test it. Let's go. Now we have created our draft. Now we can add it inside of OpenAI. So we go back into the OpenAI platform. We click top right corner right here on dashboard. And then we click the assistant on the left side right here. And then we create a new assistant, top right corner like this. And we give it a name. We can actually click right here into playground. This makes it a bit easier. Nice. All right, I give it a name. Let's call it Suntan Chatbot. And the instructions are the ones that we just created. So I'll just copy it right here, insert the instructions. And for the model, I usually recommend 2 models. If you want the cheapest model, then use GPT-4o. This is good for tasks that doesn't require the best AI, but it's still good and it's the most cost effective. We usually, for all our clients, use GPT-4 Turbo, and I'll recommend you using that as well. It's cost effective, it's very, very good, way better than GPT-4o, and we actually feel like it's better than most of the newer models as well. So choose GPT-4 Turbo, Suntan Chatbot, and now already, if I write yes, and I click this button down here, then you have a working chatbot. You've just created a chatbot. You can see, hi there, how long have you been looking for the solar options? So that's the first question in that sequence. Awesome. Let's go back into the platform right here. I click Test Agent, and this picks up a dashboard where we click Create a Test. So now we want to test the AI that we just created. We use the OpenAI assistant. You can also use the chat completion, but it's not that good at all. So yeah, use the assistant. We click the OpenAI assistant and it loads our API key, and then we can import the chatbot that we just created like this. And it will automatically import the model, the temperature, the top P, the prompt, everything. We just click next. Like that. Next up is that we create a model. I usually recommend GPT-4o. And basically what will happen now is that we'll get one AI to test our AI. So AI is testing AI, which means that we can run through a bunch of conversations and find out where our AI struggles, so we can fix that. Let's start with the fixed initial message. This is what you would send out. Either if the AI is doing the outreach, then that would be the message. Let me actually show you an example, 2 seconds. For example, this message right here. This is the first SMS that we send out in an SMS campaign. And this message is basically what I would copy right here, and I would insert inside of the fixed initial message to the user. So this is basically, we would usually send out, hey, are you still looking at solar options, for example, or some other first message. You would insert this here. And this is important because the AI that's testing our AI needs to know, okay, what kind of customer do I need to act as? And what does the user want help with? We just write user wants help looking at options for solar energy, for example. And then we have some options right here. I just start with deleting all the questions just to show you how to create them. Give me 1 second doing that. You can see I usually have a bunch of questions that I run through my AI. And the reason for that is that the more questions you have, the easier it is to find out where your AI struggles. And that is also why I created this software, because I needed to know that my AIs respond the right way every single time. Awesome. I click generate questions right here with AI. You can also click find inspiration right here. This is going to open a docs with a bunch of questions that I've put together that we are usually testing for. So you can use those as well if you want to test your AIs with that. Click generate questions with AI, and here you can copy these settings. This is usually what I go for. 5 questions for the industry. In this example, the AI will analyze our prompt and think, okay, I need to make questions about solar. Generate 3 questions from angry customers, 1 from prompt hacking. Prompt hacking is if someone is trying to get some information out of the prompt or make the AI say something it's not supposed to, then we are also working against that by finding, okay, where does our AI struggle? And 1 question for compliance. And then we can add 3 questions that are just like industry specific if we wanted to add something specific. 1 question on tree shading, for example. That's a problem in solar, shading coming from trees covering the roof. 1 question on grid limits, and 1 question on it's too expensive. So you can basically add inside of the custom categories right here anything that's industry specific. And when you start to gain some experience in the industry that you are choosing, the niche, then you can start adding a bunch of questions right here and test your AI for those. But let's start with this. I click generate, and it's going to go through those questions, look at my prompt, and it's going to act like the user and generate questions as that. And it's pretty cool. Let's see how it looks. That took about 20 seconds or so. So you can see the solar panels work when it's cloudy. It's very necessary that our solar AI knows that question. Then I can click the plus right here and add it to our test. And I can go through all these things. Now I'm just going to add them all to show you. But maybe there's sometimes, are there any government incentives for solar? Maybe we say, okay, we don't want to answer that. Then we just click the red cross. It's good to have angry customers. There will be some of those. And then let's add the compliance question, the prompt hacking question, and our custom questions as well. Awesome. And then we click save questions. And then we have them in here. You can see we have all the questions that we just added. They've been added to the custom, compliance, and prompt hacking sections. And I can choose, okay, I can still delete them if I want to. I can also copy them and change a bit inside of them down here. But for now, let's just keep the ones that we have. And you can see how it works right here. So we have a question. This is the question that we are testing for. This is, do solar panels work when it's cloudy, for example? And then we have a success criteria, which is how we want the AI to respond. The AI should explain that solar panels can still generate electricity on cloudy days, though at reduced efficiency, and mention advancement in solar technology that improve performance in low light conditions. I might think, okay, I wanted to say that it still generates electricity while it's cloudy. I don't need it to say this, that solar advancement is being made in technology. So I can then go through these questions and I can tune it to what I want my AI to say. For example, I just want to say that it still generates electricity, just not as much, and I just click save. And I could go through and do this for every single question. For example, I don't want the AI to discuss warranty options. I only want to say it typically lasts 25 to 30 years. So I just delete the second part. And I can go through all of these questions and fix the things that I wanted to say, and then we can run the test. For each question, we also have these values right here, which one is called AI variations and one is called when to ask. Let's start with the AI variations value. This value right here is how many variations do we want to add to our current question. So this question right here will always be asked, but AI variations right here will take this question, generate variations of the same question. For example, if do solar panels work when it's cloudy? A variation of this could be it's cloudy outside, will solar panels still work? It's the same question, but it's a variation of it. And that is also very important to test for with AI. And that's usually the problem when you sit there and test it yourself, because you're not going to write 3 variations of the same question. You're just going to test with one question, maybe see, okay, it gave a good response. But sometimes the variations actually makes it fuck up. So it's very important that we test for variations too. And I usually recommend around 3 variations per question. And if it's a very important question in your industry, then you can bump it up to 5, maybe even 10, if you want to be 100% sure that it doesn't fuck up. And then we have the when to ask value. And this value is when to ask it in the conversation. So should we do it as the first question, the second question, etc., etc. And when we are done doing that, we have a template right here where you can create a new template. I just call this solar AI for suntan, or solar test template for suntan, and I maybe just give it a 1. So remember, this is the first version, and then I click save template. This means that when we have run this test, we can come back and run it again just using the template. And then bottom right corner, we click run and we click confirm and run. And now the one AI is going to ask all of these questions to our AI that we have created, and we're going to find out where it struggles. And you can see I've done a bunch of tests, and I use this every single day. Awesome. We can see the results from the first test right here that we ran, and you can see it's at 46%, and it's totally normal to start with a lower score. The thing is that now we also didn't go through all the questions and tune them to what we actually wanted it to say, but that's what I usually recommend. I usually recommend to go through, fix all of the questions, the nitty-bitties, making sure that the success criteria is what I actually want to be a success criteria. And then of course we're also gonna get a higher score. But let's click see results right here, and let's see how our AI responded. It will load this report, and we have also seen very, very good results when we have a higher score than 46%, maybe 90, 95, maybe even 100. Then showing this to our clients, saying maybe they have a worry about, okay, what if my AI says this? Then I can show, well, I've just tested your AI with 50 different variations of this, and it responds the right way. So you can see right here, the solar panels work when it's cloudy. We have the AI response right here, which is solar panels can still work on cloudy days, but they may produce less electricity compared to sunny days. So it says exactly what we wanted to say. And then also you can follow the entire conversation right here. Awesome. And you can follow all of these questions, and you can see the entire conversation that we ran. And then the interesting part is, where did it fuck up? Do I need a big roof for solar panels? Our AI responded, you don't necessarily need a big roof to benefit from solar panels. Even smaller roofs can be fitted with high efficiency panels that optimize sunlight. But our success criteria was that the AI should explain that with more space that it can accommodate more panels. We didn't do that, and then it's seen as a fault. What we can do though, I think it's still a decent response, is that we can click this arrow right here, and I can click mark as success. And when I do this, you can see it checked from a cross to a check mark, and it also updates the final percentage. So we can go through all of these questions right here. There will be some errors, there will be some good ones, and then there'll also be some warnings, which is where the AI kind of says what it's supposed to, but there's something that is against best practices or it doesn't follow the success criteria 100%. Let's look at this example. Hi there. Yes, shading from trees can affect the efficiency of solar panels because they block sunlight that could be converted into energy. Trimming or managing the tree branches can help minimize this effect. Is there anything else you need help with regarding solar panels? And the warning is here because it says the response addresses the impact of shading on solar panels efficiency and suggests trimming the trees, but does not mention microinverters as a solution, which was a part of our success criteria. So this way we can design questions, success criteria, test them all at once and create a template that we can test with and get a report. And I'll show you how we can then fix these errors and how it's very easy and we can get AI to do this for us as well. One thing you should also notice is that how it says hi there every single time. And this might be a good thing. Sometimes that's what you wanted to say, maybe. I don't think it's that good and that conversational. So that we will also fix in the next video. Awesome. Let's get to improving and using this test to actually improving our AI. So we have just looked at this test right here, which has a bunch of correct answers, wrong answers, and warnings. And what we can do now is that we can use this test to fix our AI. That's the entire point of testing your AI. It's to understand where does it fuck up and where do we want to update it. So I click right here on Improve Agent, which opens this window right here. And the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to import the Suntan AI. This right here, Solar AI for Suntan, which is the one that we just tested. And then in the import errors from testing top right, we can click right here and we can find the error the test that we just made, which is Suntan AI test 1. So let's click on that, and that brings up the exact same window we just looked at. And you can see we have all the same questions that we otherwise were looking at to find which ones it didn't perform well in. So for example, this one right here says hi there, and it doesn't suggest microinverters to mitigate the impact. Let's say that we want it to suggest microinverters. So I click right here, I click fix in chat, and then I just click enter right here. And now an AI prompt expert is going to look at the issue, it's going to look at our prompt, and then it's going to fix it in our prompt. You can say, in case of queries about shading affecting solar panels efficiency, explain that shading can reduce the efficiency and suggest micro solutions like trimming trees or using microinverters to mitigate the impact. So what we can do now is we can click accept right here, and this updates the prompt. And now I can copy this prompt right here and I can insert it back into OpenAI. This is where we are, let's say, hosting our AI. So testmyprompt.com is for creating the AI, OpenAI is for hosting the AI. I paste that in and I wait for it to say save right down here. And then let's clear the conversation and we do this on this right here. And then we can start over. And then we can ask the exact same question that we asked before. And here it didn't talk about microinverters, which is a technical term for something inside of a solar panel. And now we can ask it again. So this is the question right here. Will tree shading my roof affect solar panel efficiency? We ask that again. And now the AI have updated our prompt and hopefully it gives us the right answer. Let's see. Hey there, great question. Yes, shading from trees can reduce the efficiency of solar panels because they block sunlight from reaching them. That's the first part of the success criteria. A good fix might be trimming the trees a bit. Also, using microinverters instead of single inverter can help since they allow each panel to work independently. Would you like to know more about how solar could work for your home? So that's a great answer and it fits the success criteria. So you can use this method and go back and forth with the AI, running the test and then testing it back into Playground right here until you have the perfect prompt that you know responds the right way to every single question. And that's the power of testmyprompt.com, that you can do this and that you can ask so many questions on your prompt to make it better than all your competitors when you're starting an AI agency. Awesome. Another issue I had, which is that it always says hi there. I don't really like that. And even if I just click yes right here inside of OpenAI Playground, it's still gonna say hi there, I think. And I think there's something in the prompt that makes it say that. So this is not something that was inside of the test, it's something I've noticed, and we can still use this improve agent tool. I just say my prompt right now always starts with hi there. I don't like that. Can we please remove it and just have it start like question flow instead? I click enter, the AI is thinking, and hopefully it fixes it inside of my prompt. You can see here, start the conversation with, now we are removing a greeting, and then the first question. Now you can see it has removed hi there from our prompt. And now I just click accept right here, which will accept the change inside of my prompt. I can also save the version a couple of times to make sure that it has been saved. And I can copy it back into Playground like we did before. I open the prompt, I just delete everything, paste back and click save. And you can see it saves down in the bottom right corner right here. Now we clear it again and I write yes, and hopefully this time it doesn't say hi there and it just starts the conversation. Still says hey there, which we don't want it to do. So let's try and make it even more clear that we don't want it to say this. So basically what I can do is that I can copy this right in here and I can say look at this AI response. It still says a greeting and introduction. Can you please make it clear in my prompt that it should never do that? And let's see if we can get it to remove it. Sometimes it might take multiple tries. See, do not start response with greetings or introductions. Let's accept this, copy it, insert it back into OpenAI right here. This is gonna update the prompt. I'm gonna clear it. I'm gonna write yes again, and let's hope that it finally doesn't give an introduction. How long have you been looking into solar options without an introduction? Which I think is more conversational, and it's awesome. Great. That's the workflow. That's how you create your perfect prompt. And it's how you use test my prompt to actually do it. The next couple of videos, I'll show you how you take this brain, which you have created right now. This is the brain. It's the backend. It's the power of your AI. It's what decides how the AI responds and how good it is. So nailing this part right here is how you make the best possible AI product. And testmyprompt.com is how you can do that. It's going to help you. And also if you're a beginner, just talking to an AI like this in plain English without having to change anything, without having to code anything, that is awesome. And that's also why we created this for our own AI agency and for my own employees in the first place. Awesome. Let's get to how you can actually connect these AIs and make them talk on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on SMS, WhatsApp, Telegram, on websites, on comment sections inside of social media. You can do a lot with this knowledge that you've just learned. That is the AI brain. Now you know how to create a good prompt and create an AI using OpenAI and Test My Prompt. Now it's about connecting the AI to other services, Facebook, Instagram, website widget, SMS, WhatsApp, and I'll be bringing more in the future. And for that we use make.com and HighLevel, and kind of works like this. So a customer sends the business that we are setting it up for. They're sending that business a message, right? And this could be a customer support question, it could be a sales question. Basically we want to get that question answered as soon as possible, and that's why AI is so valuable. So what we can do is that we can integrate with HighLevel, where this message can be sent from any of these channels directly to HighLevel, and HighLevel would pick it up. HighLevel has the integration capabilities for that. Then we send it using make.com, and I'll show you exactly how to set that up. We send it to our AI brain, which generates the response. Then Make sends it back to HighLevel, and HighLevel sends it out on these channels again. Alright, let's jump into it, shall we? Alright, let's jump in, shall we? First, we'll need to set up HighLevel, and if you click the link right below this video, it'll take you to my affiliate link, and I'll of course appreciate a lot if you use that. And that's going to give you a 14-day free trial. So you click this button right here, and then you write in this information, and you click go to step 2. I'll be back when I've done that. That gets us to this page right here. It is a bit on the expensive side. So here's what I recommend you to do. I recommend you to start with the 14-day free trial like this and try your hardest to get your first client. And then in about a week, I'll release a new guide that explains what to do if you haven't gotten your first client in the first 14 days. And I will try and create workarounds how you can use software around HighLevel, but this will only be out after these 14 days. So what I recommend you to do is start with this 14-day free trial, try your hardest to land your first client, and if not, then don't worry, I'll create guides that you can work around to still keep going with your AI agency. I'll be filling in the card information, and then I'll be clicking these 2 boxes, and then let's get started. All right, I have filled in my card information, the 14-day free trial has started, and then I click right here, click here to get started. We'll set up a password. And then it will verify then I'll insert the billing address. Then we just marketing agency. No, I don't want to resell. Just write home services, 1 to 3, skip. But now take me to the account. All right, now we are inside of HighLevel. And this is the agency view. I'll go through a quick guide of just how to navigate inside of HighLevel, what each thing does, what you can actually do in here, and then I'll go through how you set up your account so we can start sending and connecting our AIs to all these services. Awesome, let's get started. All right, this is just a quick sketch showing you how the software is set up HighLevel. So basically at the top, you will have your HighLevel agency account. And the smart thing about HighLevel is that you have one overall account, and under that you have all your client accounts. And those client accounts are kept separate, which is important because you don't want one client to be able to see the settings and the conversations and the contacts and the leads in the other client, right? So HighLevel has made it really smart, basically splitting it up into sub-accounts. And I'll show you how that looks like. When you just start out on HighLevel, those 2 things are going to look the exact same. So the overall level is what we are at right now. And in this overall level, you will see the sub accounts, you will see the account snapshots. You'll basically see this view right here, and you'll see the agency dashboard. And when I just started out with HighLevel, it was very hard to distinguish the agency dashboard and the sub account dashboard. It took me a couple of weeks to actually understand. And then under, if you click this top left right here, you will see all of your sub accounts. You will see all of the sub accounts right here. And let's just click into it. You can see it has already created one sub account for us. And this is the view. You can see it's very, very, very similar. But this is the sub account view, and this is the agency view. And you can start by going into settings right here, into my profile. And here you can upload a picture, you can change your password, you can change anything you want in here. Then for the company, you can fill out all this information in here. And then the most important thing is that you can add a logo inside of HighLevel. If I upload a logo, let's do that corner, it will update the logo as well. And your clients will see this too. You can do a bunch of other stuff in here. If you want a detailed HighLevel guide, then I can definitely do that as well, but it will not be included in this course. For now, you're just gonna know and learn whatever you need to actually be able to set this up for you and your clients. Great. So basically what we do now is that we import a snapshot. I'll show you how that works. And a snapshot is basically a template for a sub account. So each sub account has its own settings, its own chatbots, its own leads. Everything is separate per snapshot. So basically what we'll do is that I'll take a snapshot, a template of one of my sub accounts where the chatbot is working. You're gonna able to click a link, and when you click on this link, it's gonna import that snapshot into your Go HighLevel account as well. And when you do that, you're gonna get all the settings, you're gonna get all the workflows, which I'm gonna show you, and you'll be able to set up the chatbot yourself in literally minutes. All right, let's jump in. Start setting up the account. Right under this video, there'll be a link which links to a snapshot. And a snapshot is basically just a template of an account on my Go High Level, which I'll share to you as well. And this means you're going to get all the settings, you're going to get everything to be ready to set it up on Instagram, SMS, and Facebook. Let's get started, shall we? So this link, just click on that, and that's going to open in your browser. And it's going to take you to this page right here where you can import it. And we just click yes, import now. This is going to import the template, and now you have the snapshot inside of your own snapshots. And then we can create a new account. So inside of sub accounts right here, top right corner, there will be a add sub account right here, and I click on that. And then you can see right here, you have one imported snapshot up here. I click on that and I choose that snapshot and I click select and continue. So I'll click select and continue right here. Just allow this time. I'll just add manually, and I'll just, for now, I'll just fill in some information. Here's where you'll fill in the person that, like the client that you just onboarded, or just your own name. So I'll just fill in all of this information right here. That lets us create the sub account. Let's get it. And then just choose the time zone that your client, or if you're testing it yourself, is in, and then just click add sub account at the bottom right corner. Nice. Now we have created the sub account. I called it Shiny Ink, and you can see in our top left corner right here, we have one that's called Shiny. This is the default one. It always creates that for the two views. And then it has the Shiny Ink right here. And this is the sub account that we want to use. So what I can do is that I can click switch to sub account right here, which is going to take me to the sub account we just created. So to give you an overview again, we were just at the high level account. This is where we created the sub account using the template that you just imported. And now I've just clicked into the sub account, and this is the sub account view. Well, now we're still on the agency view. If I click on the sub account we just created, now we are in the sub account view, which it looks very, very similar. And it took me a while too to actually be able to distinguish the two. Awesome. Basically what we have inside of this sub account is that we have automations that are already set up. You can see we have a Facebook Messenger chatbot, we have an Instagram chatbot, and we have an SMS chatbot. I'll explain what actually happens in the workflow so you understand that as well. But for now, just know that it's in there, it's ready to go, and it's ready to be set up. What I've also added to this snapshot is a calendar. And this calendar right here is so you can create AI appointments. And I want to show you something that you can already do now, which is really, really cool. So give me 1 second and let's do that. If I go right now, I just want to show you where it is inside of the sub account. So on the sub account level, inside of calendars, if I go inside of calendar settings right here, we're going to be able to see all the calendars that we have. If I click these 3 dots right here and I click share, and then I click copy the permanent link, I can already open it in a tab now, and you can see we kind of have like a calendar link. This is the Go High Level calendar, and you can already now get clients to book an appointment in your calendar, which is awesome. And we can use this, and you're going to have a calendar for each sub account that you want. And if you want the AI to be able to book in appointments, this is how you would do it. So I go back into test my prompt, and you can see right now in the question flow, we are just asking if they are, would mornings, afternoons usually work best for a quick phone call. Let's say I want to add a question. Please add a question to the question flow that says book a time on this link. Let me know. Yeah, that should be fine. I then click enter. And you can see on the 4th step right here, it says book a time on this link, and then it sends the calendar link. And I just click accept, and now we've added that, and I copy the prompt right here. I insert it into our OpenAI platform right here, and I click save. I make sure that it's saved the bottom right corner. And now we have actually added the calendar link or the calendar link to our AI, which means if we test it, we can just write yes right here, and it can go through the flow. Awesome. I just went through a conversation just to show you the flow and how it works. It goes through, ask these qualifying questions, and then it says what mornings, afternoons usually work best. If the user says morning, it says perfect, you can book a morning slot that works for you using this link. And then it gives, if I copy the link address right here just to show you, it gives the link for the calendar. So all of a sudden you have a full functioning bot that can actually book people into your calendar. That is awesome. And that's the first thing you can do with HighLevel very easily. You can manage these appointments inside of here. All right, now we have imported the snapshot. We have our sub account set up, which we can set up the AI on. All we need to do is connect everything using Make, and then we have a fully functioning chatbot. Let's go. All right, let's connect everything so it actually works. And what we'll do now is that we will sign up to make.com, which is a tool that can connect HighLevel and our AI brain, as you see here. If you haven't already, take the newest version of your prompt, either from testmyprompt.com, or if you just created the prompt yourself, and make sure to update it so that it saves, and make sure that it saves here down in the bottom right corner. Now we have the newest version of our AI. And what we do now is that we go to make.com like this right here. You click top right here, get started for free, and then I'll log in with Google, and then you basically just sign up. Let's do that right quick. Click continue. Nice. And the hosting region is basically where your just set that to either EU or US. It doesn't really matter. And then I click sign up for free. I verify that I'm not a robot, and then I sign up for free. Awesome. Just go through this. It doesn't really matter what you pick. Nice. Cool. And the first thing we'll do is that we will look at the billing. The way it works is that for free you have 1,000 operations a month, and you have 2 active scenarios, which is actually fine for what we are trying to do. So you can start with 1,000 operations. This would be, but it's basically around 300 conversations or text back and forth, which is plenty to get started. And when you sign your first client, it's only $9 a month to get 10,000 operations, which will be plenty. Let me show you what to do now. Inside of scenarios right here, you click on create a new scenario. And then you click webhook right here. You click custom webhook, and you click add webhook, and we just call this one, let's call it Insta AI, because this is the one that we'll be making in the next video. Leave IP restrictions off, and then just click save, and then you will copy this webhook and click save right here. Now we have set up Make. We can pay for it later if you want to upgrade, and we can now connect everything and make it work. Let's fucking go. Alright, in this video we will actually set up the Insta AI so it works. And if you haven't seen the video right before this of setting up Make, then watch that first. But basically what we've done is that we've created this scenario with the webhook. I click copy and I click save, and I go back into HighLevel right here. Inside of settings, I go into custom values. This, by the way, is a snapshot. You can see import the snapshot video, one of the previous videos in this course. To do that, and inside of the Instagram Make webhook, I click these 3 dots right here. I click edit custom value, and for yours it will be blank to start. I will copy in the Make webhook that we just created, and I'll click update like this. Awesome. I will then go back from the custom values, click go back right here, and I will, inside of contacts, I'll create a test contact. And the reason we do this, you will have no contacts in here. This is my Instagram account that I've been testing on. You just click add contact right here. You call it test account, for example. Give it some random email that doesn't exist. And then the phone number, you can also just give it some, or you actually can leave that as blank. And then you click save right here. And now we want to test our webhook. So after you've created this contact right here, you go back into make and you click this button right here that says run once. And what this will do is that it'll wait for a response from the webhook. When we send the response to the webhook, we can actually set up the connection. So inside of the test contact right here, I scroll down until I find automation right here, and I click add. For the workflow, I choose the make initial test, and this will test our current webhooks, the Instagram webhook that we just set up. And then I click add. And when I do that, it will trigger in a second, you can see, and we have sent over some information that we will use. For example, the user response, the contact ID. For now, just follow what I do and you'll understand, and we'll make it work. So basically what I do now is that I double click right here, or I click this add another module, and then I find OpenAI Assistant right here. So the one that we'll be using is the message and assistant, and I click create a connection, and I call this connection, let's just call it Insta or OpenAI Albert's OpenAI connection right here. And here we need an API key and an organization ID. So I go back into platform.openai.com that we've been using. I go into dashboard, and first I'm going to create an API key. So I go into dashboard, bottom left API keys. I click create new API key, and I'll call this make.com API key. And I click create secret key. I copy this right here. I click done. And then I go back into here, I copy paste the API key like this. And then we also need the organization ID. So I go back into platform.openai.com. And then on the top right here, we have the settings tab. And if I click the settings tab, you'll see we have our organization ID right here. So I take this organization ID, I copy that as well. And I go back into make and I insert this here, and we click save, and hopefully that creates a connection to our OpenAI account. Perfect. Then we can actually choose the assistant that we want for Instagram. So the AI brain that we've created, we can find in here. And we created the one that's called Suntan Chatbot right here. So I choose this, and you can also see the model that we are using. The role will be user, and the message will be the one that's called user response. You see this one right here? Hello. That is what we tested. So the user response is the message that we are giving to the AI. Like this. The image files we leave blank, and the thread ID is the one from here. So insert the thread ID into the thread right here. And right now you can see it's actually empty, but this basically gives the AI memory from previous, so it can have a full conversation. And that is it. And then we click save right here. And the last step is connecting OpenAI, as you can see in make right here. See if we can find it. We are from HighLevel, we are sending it via make to the AI brain, and then we're sending it back via make to HighLevel right here. That is basically what this automation is. So we need one first step, that is sending it back to HighLevel. So I click add a module right here, and for some reason HighLevel is called lead connector, or go HighLevel lead connector. And I click show more, and I pick the one that's called update a contact, and I click create a connection. Just click this right here. I use the go HighLevel company one right here, which takes an API key, and I give it the connection name, which is the sub account. Now I just call it Shiny Ink. It's the same name that we gave my sub account just before, this one right here. And the way we get the API key is that we go bottom left corner to settings right here. You might have to watch this a couple of times because we are going pretty fast. We find the API key right here. If you don't have one, you can click create an API key, which will create one for you, and I'm just going to rotate it to show you. But there'll be a button right here that says create an API key. I click the copy button after we have done that, and I insert this API key into this right here. I click save, which will create the connection. Awesome. That created the connection right there. Cool. In the contact ID, we have that right here from the first webhook. So I basically just hold down my mouse and I drag it over into the contact ID field. First name, we also have that one. I just insert first name and I insert last name as well, just by holding my mouse in and dragging over. Email and phone number, we don't need to update. We just need the contact ID, because then Go High Level can see what contact we are updating. And then if I scroll down here to AI response, thread, and user response, this is where it gets fun, because the AI will generate a response that will be under content, text, and value. If I take that and drag it into AI response, we are getting the response and we are sending it back to High Level. And for the thread ID, we do the same thing. Inside of OpenAI, we have a thread ID. I take this and I paste it, I drag it into High Level so that we are saving that as well. The user response we don't need to send back, because we just send the user response to OpenAI. OpenAI does what it needs to do. We just need to get the response back. I click save and I click save again. And that is it. That is the easy make automation that does all of this connection. And you can see it's very similar to the drawing I made in here, which just has a bit more text on it. But you can see the high level step, the AI brain, the high level step. That is basically what this is, where this is also high level step, since we're sending it from high level to here. So high level, AI brain, high level step. Cool. All we need to do now is save it. So I click Command S inside of make, which will save it. You can also click this save button right here, does the exact same thing. And then I click this immediately as data arrives. And it says immediately, I just click save. And I just save it again just to be sure. And now we have created our first make automation. I click top left right here, and I can also just give it a name. Let's call it Insta Chatbot. Like this, and it has saved. Cool. Now we are ready to actually test the AI. We have set everything up, the make automation, the Go High Level. Now we are ready to test it and make sure it works. Now we are ready to test if it works. We also need to connect our Instagram account, and the way we do that is in the bottom left corner. I click on settings, and inside of integrations right here, we have a bunch of things that we can integrate with, and that is why High Level is so cool. I'll just disconnect this integration to show you exactly how you would do it. So this is what yours will look like. I just click connect right here, and then I click continue as Albert. And this will basically connect my Facebook account and all the pages that I have access to with our High Level. And then I click the one that I want to connect with, which is the shiny one, this one right here. And I click continue, connect, and continue like that. Awesome. This field right here is if you are running ads. We don't need to do that, so I just click this cross up here. And then for the manage pages right here, not that one, sorry, the settings tab right here, we need to go in and connect Instagram as well. So I just click sync Instagram DMs for all accounts, and I click connect. And when I've done that, I make sure that we now have access. You can see now Instagram is also active. Cool. I click the cross again, and now we have actually added our Instagram page, which means that all DMs that are coming inside of Instagram will now also show up inside of our conversations tab inside of High Level. So let's actually test it. I will go into Instagram right now from my Instagram profile. So I basically just find the Instagram account that I have connected, and let's just write, hello, I am interested in solar. So you can see I have written it now, and you can see there it comes. And what will happen now is that the workflow that's inside of this snapshot will trigger. I'll explain it, how it works right after this. It's more interesting to actually see it work. And then right after this, I'll show you how it works. And you can also see already it says, hey there, how long have you been looking at solar? And now I can respond again and say, I have been looking for 3 months, just getting quotes. You can see it will show up in a second right here, and the AI will have the conversation, the exact same conversation that we were testing inside of our OpenAI account, inside of Playground right here with our Suntan AI, is now not inside Instagram. Isn't that fucking cool? And you can see that's great. Taking time to gather info is smart. What is your monthly electricity bill? So it's just going through that flow, and it will even provide the calendar link. That is it. You have created your first Insta chatbot, and you could sell this to a client, and it depends on how large the client is a month. But you could set this up, and if they get thousands of DMs a day, which some creators do, you can also charge thousands of dollars a day, which is crazy. And you could even, there's a whole business in appointment setting. You could wipe out that market because this can do it better than appointment setters. Now you know something that's so high leverage that you can make a lot of money doing it. Let's look at how it actually works. Inside of automation right here, I'll show you the flow that is running, which is the Instagram chatbot. And what we are basically doing is that we have a trigger right here, and you'll learn how to make AI automation soon. Not in this course, but I'll probably make some videos explaining it. We have the reply channel set to Instagram, which means that all DMs that are coming through Instagram will come through this. Then we create a dummy email, and the reason we do this is that we need some way of knowing, okay, this is the client that we are talking about. And if they're coming through Instagram, then Go High Level is not, it has a contact ID, but it's not showing. So we need to create a dummy email for it to work as well. This you don't really need to understand why we do that. We just do it so it works. And then we save the user response from the message. We send this user response to our webhook inside of Make. That is what we set up. Then we wait for our AI to be done. And when it's done, we send the response back to the user via an Instagram DM. And then we reset everything. So it's exactly how I showed on this Miro right here. We are getting a message in high level. We are sending it via Make to our AI brain. Our AI brain is sending it back to Go High Level, and Go High Level is sending out the message. That is basically what is happening on a high level. And this is basically just repeated for about 15 times throughout this chatbot. So it's just going back and forth, having a conversation, and then it ends off by sending that calendar link. Cool. If you have any questions about this chatbot, make sure to drop them in school. And that is it. That is our first chatbot completed. I'll also go through how you create an SMS chatbot and Facebook and Messenger chatbot, but it's basically the same as this. So let's get on to that. To understand this video, you also need to understand the Instagram chatbot and the Make setup. But I'll show you what to do to also get this feature, this functionality and chatbot on Facebook Messenger as well, which means that if anyone DMs a Facebook page, our AI can take over. And it is very, very similar. Inside of our Facebook Messenger workflow, we just have a different reply channel right here, which is the Facebook Messenger one. And then when we send back the response, we just do it over Facebook Messenger instead of Instagram. And I'll show you how to set it up. So basically what we do is that inside of settings, we do the same thing that we did with Instagram. We go to integrations, and then we click this button right here, which will integrate it. And now I have already done it, but you can manage pages right here, and you can choose, okay, which page do I want to connect to this AI? Then you go back and you go into settings, and you go into custom values right here. And we have a Facebook Make webhook. So if I go back into Make, this is our Insta chatbot right here. We want to keep this as is. Let's say that I wanted to create a different chatbot for Facebook that doesn't book appointments, for example, but just answers questions. I would click this arrow right here, and I will clone the current chatbot that we have, and I will call it Facebook chatbot. I'll click add, and I'll create a new webhook, which I'll copy, and then I'll click save. And now we have the exact same automation with the exact same assistant. It's just a different webhook, which means that we could also go in and create a new assistant inside of OpenAI platform right here, and we could choose it which one we want to use of our assistants right here, and you can have a different AI respond in a different way or with a different goal of not booking appointments, but instead just answering questions. Then remember to save your workflow and turn it on right here, so signal is being processed immediately when we turn it on. Now we have two chatbots. If I go back, you can see we have the Insta chatbot, we have the Make Facebook chatbot, for example. I go back into HighLevel right now inside of our custom values. I click the three dots right here. I click edit value, and I delete the current webhook that we have. I copy paste the new webhook. I click update like that. And now we have inserted the make webhook to Facebook instead. And now we are actually ready to test it. It's that easy. We have created the integration to Facebook. We have set up our webhook for make, which is the exact same one as Insta. And now we can test it. So let's do that. Awesome. So I will just go in and DM the page on my Facebook profile. Just say, hello, I am interested in solar. And let's see if it comes in here correctly. There we are. That is my Facebook account. And you can see we received it. Now this signal is being sent to our AI using make, and we're getting a response, and hopefully it gives a response back. And there we go. I received the message on my phone as well, and it says to say, hey there, how long have you been looking at solar? So it works. That is the Facebook chatbot. It's very easy to now implement it into different medias, especially with Go High Level. The next guide I'll show how to do it with SMS, which is also very similar. There's a couple of more steps though, but that is Instagram and that is Messenger done. Awesome, bro. You're learning a lot. Let's keep going. You can set up is SMS, and SMS is arguably the most valuable thing you can set up. It does also take a bit more time, but you can run SMS models where you reach out to age databases, and when you do that, you can get a bunch of people that are still interested where some situation might have changed, and this is probably the model that we have seen the most success with. In the start of this course, I started by charging $4,500 for this week of having the AI running. That is AI reaching out to age leads, finding the ones that are still interested, and then booking them into the calendar of the sales team of the company that we are working with. That model right there is very easy to sell, and it is very, very valuable for the company as well, because they are getting additional appointments from leads that they had otherwise given up on. All right, let's show you how to actually set it up. So you need to have onboarded the client, and you need to have their business information, because you need to create an A2P registration. The way you do that is that you go inside of settings, bottom left right here, and then you click phone numbers. And then top right here, you click Trust Center. And the Trust Center, the A2P, is very important if you're sending messages inside of United States, which you will often do. If you need to send SMS outside, Go High Level has a guide of what you need to do there, but then you need to go into the bundle and address tab right here and sign up for example, an Australian phone number. Most of you will be sending SMS inside of Canada and the USA, and for that you need A2P. A2P is like a registration for who is using the phone number and who is sending out text messages. And this is crucial. You need this for your SMS to actually land in the inbox and in the messages of the people you are trying to reach. A2P is a bit expensive. It's like $25, I think, to sign up. And then there's like a couple of bucks a month to keep that A2P registration going. So you can maybe get the client to pay this. You can also upfront this and just charge on a performance basis. We usually pay for it ourselves in our AI agency, just say this is on us for running the test. but yeah, do whatever that you think would be best for your situation. I click start registering now right here, and then I answer if my business entity is inside of the US or Canada, which it is, and I just click continue. And right here I'll write in the legal business name. I'll write in the type of company that I'm working with. This would usually be an LLC or a corporation. And then I write in the EIN, which is the tax number. Then I choose an industry, and I choose a business email of the person that I'm onboarding, as well as the website of the client that I'm onboarding. And then I choose USA and Canada, if that is the business that, if that's why the business that I'm onboarding, if that's where they are located. Let me do that and click continue, and then I'll be right back. Awesome. Now when we have set that up, that takes us to the next page, which is the business address. Here you write in the country, the state, and you write in the street address. For example, I'll just write in something random right now, but yeah, write in the street address of the client. Something that's also really important, if I go back to the previous, I just wrote in random information here as well, that is that this legal business name right here must be 100% correct for how it is written inside of the tax records, the campaign registry, because they are seeing, okay, who is this company, and for that it needs to be a one-to-one. So it needs to be a shiny ink, for example, if it's a corporation, or it needs to include the LLC. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And if this brand is getting denied a lot of times, what you do is that you reach out to the client and you tell them to look at their tax papers, see exactly what their business name is called, and send you a screenshot of that so you can make sure to get this right. I click continue, and I fill in this random information. Let's just do it like this, and that will set up the brand. Then I just click in random name, random email address. Of course, you should write in the client's actual email address right here. I'm just doing this to show you how it works. And then you choose the job position and you click continue. And here you choose what kind of campaign that you want. I'm gonna click low volume standard. This will be plenty for you. If you want to send a lot of SMS a day, up to 600,000, then you would choose a high volume standard. But for now, we do a low volume standard. And here you can see it costs a one-time fee of 24 bucks. And then it is a fee of 12 months per month per registration that you have. I click continue, and that takes us to the actual registration. So we need to give them some information of what our use case is, what we do with this number, etc. And for that, I've created a document right here, which includes all of the things that you should insert. So basically just click file, click make a copy, save this yourself, and then fill in the company name that you're onboarding, the privacy policy link, the company name again, all of these things. You basically just copy this, you insert it. Of course, you fill it out with your own information, but this makes it so you can run through an HTTP registration in 1 minute or so. And then you click these two right here, you click continue, and then you fill in these last two things right here. This is kind of an art to get this accepted every single time, but this is the exact messaging that we use for our registration, our own company, and we basically are always getting accepted. So if you do this too, you will get accepted as well. Cool. Then you click submit, and it takes around 3 to 5 business days for it to be accepted. This is a down period where you can set up the AI. Then we go back and we set up the automation flow. We can then spend this time actually setting up the SMS, so it's ready for those 3 to 5 business days when the phone number and the HTTP is accepted. I'll also show you how to set up a phone number. So after, you can see inside of the phone numbers tab, inside of Trust Center, this says yes to start, but there will be a status of what is going on with the number. When this is accepted, then you can go inside of Manage Numbers right here inside the Phone Numbers tab. You can click Add Phone Number, and then you can search for a state using the filter. Let's say that I want a specific state. I can search 201, and I can search first part of number right here, and it will only give me 201 numbers then. I click a number, I click proceed to buy, and this would buy a number. I'm actually going to show you what it looks like then. There we go. Now we have a phone number. You can see it wants me to register for A2P. That's why we always go for A2P first. And you cannot really use this number without A2P. I click these three dots, I click edit configuration, and now you can see that I have a couple of things that I can change. If the clients, for example, wants the calls that come to this number forwarded to their own phone, you would click forward calls to, and then you could write in a number right here, which will forward all calls to this number. Awesome. Let me show you how to actually set up the automation, which is very similar to Instagram and Facebook. Inside of Make, I'm going to copy one of these, I'm going to clone it, and I'm call it SMS chatbot. It's the exact same process. Create a new webhook, copy this webhook, go to settings inside of Go HighLevel, and inside of the Make webhook, I click these three dots, I edit custom value, and I click update, like that. And then right here, we just click save. And it's the exact same process. I just remember to save it, and I click this right here. I say run immediately. And you can see now I actually have the max number of active scenarios that has been exceeded, and now it wants me to pay. But you can just start with, let's say, Facebook and Instagram, or Facebook and SMS, and you can run in the free plan. If you want to get more automations, which you definitely will at some point, all you need to do is just pay for the $9 a month to get unlimited scenarios and up to 10,000 operations, which will be plenty. So I cannot turn this on, but you get the point. We have created the webhook. It's working the exact same way as Facebook and Instagram. And now I cannot test it because I don't have my phone number yet, but you would be able to set this up with SMS, and it will work the exact same way. One thing that's worth mentioning is that you can go inside of automation right here, and usually with SMS it's a bit different. You could either have it so someone needs to text a specific number for the AI to take over, but the great thing about SMS is that you can message people first. And here's the great thing about that. Right here we have an SMS first message workflow, which is different from Instagram and Facebook. And this is basically that instead of customers reaching out to us on Facebook and Instagram first, we can send out the initial message on SMS to them. And the way we do that is that we use drip mode right here. Drip mode is basically just, we don't want to send all the SMS at once. We want it to maximum send 3 SMS every 1 minute. And then we wait for hours that are good to send SMS in. We don't want to be sending SMS at the middle of the night, because then you might get restricted and you might even get fines. You want to keep best practices for sending SMS. And then we can send the SMS, and you can update this to whatever SMS that you want to send out first. Here's just an example. Hey, first name, are you still interested in getting solar, for example? We send this out to 10,000 people. We are going to get a decent response rate, and then the AI will take over and put all of them on an appointment, which is very valuable. And that is what we did. That is what I showed in the first video of how we do it. That is exactly how we do it when we reach out to people. Cool. The way you do it is that inside of contacts right here, you can import a list. So you use this button right here, you import a list, and then you can actually import a list, a CSV file with names, phone numbers, contacts, and you can get them all inside of HighLevel. If you want a detailed guide of how to do that, then let me know. But the idea is that you then have all the contacts inside of here, and you can then select them all that you want to send SMS to. You can click up here, add to automation. I can click proceed, and I can choose the SMS first message workflow that I just showed. I can click add in drip mode, and I can call it batch 1 reactivation, for example. And then we can say I want to send 1 every 1 minute, and I want to do it from 9 AM to 5 PM. And I want to start it on, let's say, 10 AM today. There we go. Then I click add to automation, and that is how you do it. So now I cannot send out SMS because none of my contacts right here has a phone field, but you could import a large list with phone fields and send out SMS to all of them, and then have the AI pick up the conversation, book them in, and then charge per appointment that is being set. Cool. That is how you do with SMS. SMS is a bit longer because it takes that HTTP registration, but it's definitely worth it because you can charge more and you can start reaching out to clients and say, hey man, let me reactivate your entire database. I will do it for no upfront fee, just pay me per appointment that I book. And then you will see everyone saying yes. You'll get 80% close rates because it would be a low cost when they are paying you compared to if they go on Facebook and run Facebook ads. And you can build an entire business and an entire business model around like that, just like we did. Awesome. The next guides, and I'll keep dropping like different channels. Now we have Facebook Messenger and SMS, Facebook, Instagram, and SMS. I will keep dropping different channels that people want inside of school, but this is the first part. Soon, probably later this week, I'll drop the guide for how to create a website chatbot. So you know that chatbot that is at the bottom right corner of a website? That takes a bit more setup. I'll create a full guide for how to set that up too. But start here, start reaching out to people, tell them that you can reactivate their database. It's the easiest way to get started and show some good results inside of the school group.
Right now, companies are investing billions into AI, and every single one of them is trying to use AI and implement it into their business. And the truth is, most have no idea how to do it and actually drive real results. So that's what we're going to do here. Just to start, to show you how much value you can actually create with AI. These are some of the results that we've gotten for a client and the earnings, and then a testimonial. The reason businesses pay is because it makes them more money, saves them time, and reduces the costs without them needing to hire more people. And the craziest thing is you don't need to code or have any prior experience to do this. So if you want to start a business with low costs and high margins, no coding, and clients that literally ask you for help, AI automation is the perfect choice out there right now. One of the things that we've done is implement AI into sales. And businesses are losing millions every year because they don't follow up fast enough with potential customers. And their customer support either sucks or have costs that are going through the roof. And you can fix all of these problems, and companies will be happy to pay you because you're delivering real and measurable value that's either making them money or saving them money. Because when you implement your AIs in sales, the core problem for the business is they're already spending thousands to generate leads, and 80% of the leads never turn into sales. And the truth is, often it's not even a lead problem, it's a follow-up problem. There's an old saying in sales that says fortune is in the follow-up. That's been said to so many salespeople. See, salespeople are very driven by results and spend a long time chasing customers, and they quickly filter out leads that they don't think have potential, like not following up with a lead that didn't pick up the phone initially, and then instead only focus on the new leads that are coming in. And what AI allows us to do is consistently follow up with every single lead as many times as we want in a personal way, leading to more sales, more meetings, more appointments, depending on what they want. So the reason it works is because we have the consistency and we have the speed to lead. If a business don't respond fast, leads go cold. It's just as simple as that. And even when the business do respond fast, we see that 90% of their calls are usually ignored anyways, meaning fewer and fewer people are actually picking up the phone these days. And then companies, they may have email systems in place. You know, it's good for consistency, but it has extremely low open rates, making SMS and private DMs on social media with AI infinitely more valuable to their business for two reasons. We see that 98% of our messages are opened and seen, and people can respond anytime they're free, and they'll still get an instant reply. So again, speed to lead is everything. I can't mention this enough times. And once you have that speed to lead, you can have AI do anything you want really, whether that's nurturing, moving leads further down the sales funnel, scheduling appointments or selling products and bookings, or just using AI to answer FAQs or even use them to handle objections and get more sales. Simply put, all of this helps increase the touch points and outreach a company is doing, and more touch points and outreach simply leads to more sales and happier customers. And you're the one providing this value to the business instead of them hiring more people to do sales and customer support, which is infinitely more expensive and time consuming. Now, how do we actually find clients and how do we get them interested? We see that the best platforms to find clients, and what I'd recommend to do here in the beginning, is LinkedIn, targeting DMs through groups, and Instagram DMs, and then there's Facebook groups and Facebook DMs, there's school groups and school DMs, and then there's cold calling. Generally with cold outreach like this, the simple messages, they just get a ton of replies. What we'll do is we'll create a video for each of these platforms and for each outreach strategy. And there's so many more acquisition systems than the ones I mentioned. We'll launch more and more ways to get clients that has worked for us over time. But what do you actually say to the people when they're interested? Your goal is always going to be getting them on a meeting. So try not to explain too much over DMs, because we want to be able to get them to a call and ask them questions instead of trying to give them a solution. It just gives them more reasons to kind of disqualify us if they find one thing that they don't like. So the best way to do that is to tell them that you created an AI based on their website and you'd love to show it to them and get their opinion on it. When you have them on a meeting, one of the easiest solutions to pitch to client is AI lead engagement. So asking them, do you have old leads that you didn't convert? And if they do, then tell them that you can turn those into sales or appointments or whatever they want for them without them lifting a finger. And then while you're already talking about leads and sales, you might as well ask them, if I could increase your conversion rate on the new leads that you get, would that even be valuable to you? And then in most scenarios, people will say yes. And then the coolest thing is you can use the same AI for both campaigns. It knows everything about their business, all their products, and really pushes the sale. And when it comes to pricing and the business model, essentially just how you get paid, there's a few different pricing models. We have the performance-based, which will be the easiest to close because it has no upfront cost and you only get paid when the clients see results. So the clients, they basically have no risk going into this. This could be a pay-per-appointment set, and it could be paid anywhere from $40 to $500 for an appointment book, depending on the business, or you could get paid per closed sale and then get paid between 5 to 30% revenue share. Then you have the retainer model, which means the client pays you a fixed price every month for any AIs and any automations that you provide. And depending on how many of those you do, prices, they vary anywhere from $100 to $10,000 a month. And then you have the hybrid model, which is basically just the best of both worlds, where you get to charge an initial setup fee and then you get paid for results you provide at the same time. My recommendation for everyone starting out would be to go with the performance-based model. Not only does it have the highest closing rate by far, because clients just love the zero risk and makes it easy for them to say yes, it allows you to land a client quickly while still giving you a big earning potential. We'll go a lot more in depth with sales on upcoming videos. In the meantime, if you want us to elaborate on anything from the videos or from the course, please ask us any question in school, and then follow us on Instagram, where both Albert and I will be posting a lot more in depth about sales and different AI solutions. Really appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. This video is going to show you how you target people on Facebook. This is extremely good for targeting local businesses and service providers. The first thing we want to do is we want to find business owners in niche Facebook groups. So you join groups that are specific to a niche, and then you'll find business owners in that specific industry that you want to target. This could be real estate, home services, coaches, anything like that. One thing that we actually started with, which is an underrated niche, is called detailing. And it's basically a lot of people that wash cars. And it's a really, really cool industry to start in. And you go in here and you engage with the posts. So what you want to look for is, in these groups, people, they address industry-specific questions, any obstacles that they face, and then they share resources with each other. And you want to look for posts that you can engage with or complement. And then the way we want to approach this is we want to comment on their post, where we either compliment or engage with their post. We can also just engage and say, hey, I sent you a DM. That increases the likelihood of their response. So you had to comment and you basically just write them, hey, I sent you a DM, or like the post, I sent you a DM. That's very, very simple. And then the strategies that you can do to stand out in their DMs is you can screenshot their post and then you can message it to them and then say, hey, I really like this about your post, where you compliment it. People, they love when they get a compliment, and then send them a picture of their post and tell them what you liked about it. The other way that you can stand out is by sending a voice message or a video message. And in the video message, you could show them their post, or you can send them a video message saying that you created an AI and that you can show it to them. And you can even take a video of your screen with an AI on it. So where you are actually creating a prompt in Test My Prompt, or creating it on the OpenAI playground. This is a really cool thing. People are not used to seeing that, and it'll make you stand out. So aside from engaging in their posts, what we really want to do is we want to send them that first message to get them engaged into the conversation. It's always going to increase response rates if you send something that's personalized. But you can always ask them, is this the best place to ask a question? And this works really well in these niche groups, especially because oftentimes you are reaching out to business owners or business profiles. So this is a perfect way to actually engage them in conversation. And again, you can make it industry specific. So for example, in detailing, something that's very common is either having a shop or being mobile. So either people come to you or you go to them. So for example, you could always ask people, hey, do you have a shop or are you fully mobile? That would be a way to engage these people in a more personalized conversation about detailing, right? So what we want to just make sure is that we get a quick interaction with them before we tell them that we created an AI for them. And that's the kind of essential part, because it will increase the likelihood that they actually respond when we pitch them the AI idea. Then again, we use the message, I built you an AI based on company name's website. Would you be against having a look at it? And then of course check that they do have a website, or just say I built you an AI based on your profile. Whatever works, just make sure you're not sending them that you looked at their website if they don't actually have a website. And then if they don't respond, you can actually use a pretty cool method. Is you could tell them that, hey, I noticed it took a while for you to respond. I thought it'd be cool if I created you a free AI that could be in your DMs and help you. And then we want to mention a client specific example. So for example, in this case, the client would want the AI in the DM to help them answer questions about their services and book people in. So that would be something that you could mention to real estate agents, car detailers, and then mention, I already made it. Would you be against having a look at it? Very, very simple. Again, I'll put all the scripts in the course below so that you can just copy them. And then one thing you have to know is cold DMs are all about output. So it's a huge volume game. So if you send 20 DMs and it hasn't worked yet, you just need to do more. Volume is key when we're talking about cold outreach. Another way to engage in Facebook groups is finding local groups. So if you are targeting local businesses, one thing that's extremely powerful is to search for groups in your local area. So an example of this could be Santa Barbara. I don't live in Santa Barbara, so I probably wouldn't get invited to this group. You even have a Santa Barbara County local businesses here, and it's a public group. So you could join this group and you could make a really nice post. Like really just try and spread value, and people love that, especially in a community, because a community is really about helping each other. Post something like, I'd love to see if I could help you save time and make more money using AI. There's no work required from your end. I'm starting my own business. I'm 22 and I'm learning AI. Say, if you're a local business owner and you've been wondering what's possible with AI, I'd love to see if I can help you. Again, I'll put this in the course below so you guys could just copy it. The reason that this works is because it shows you that you're genuinely just trying to help and learn in the process. So helping the local community and the business, and then learn. And then when you're a part of a smaller community, people are just extremely likely to support you and try to help you. And that's kind of also what you're trying to spread with the group posts. So that's how we use Facebook groups that are niche and industry specific, and how we find local Facebook groups of communities where you could go in and see if anybody wants an AI. So to summarize, this video shows you how you engage in niche and industry specific groups, how you can DM and engage people from their posts in a personal message over DMs, and then also how you can use local groups to actually go in and provide value and possibly get some first clients from there. Then we have the Instagram cold outreach strategy, and this is really, really effective for targeting entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, e-commerce brands, and then also service-based companies that are already using content to market their business. How we find business owners and brands is by searching on hashtags. That's how you are going to find the most businesses possible within a niche or an industry. So this, for example, could be car detailing. 5,000 plus posts, because this is all going to be people that are going to show their services and how good of a job they did. Essentially, what we want to do is we want to use hashtags to find people that are in our niche or business owners in our industry. The best way to engage them is really through their posts. So what you'll do is you'll go in and follow them, and you'll go in and type either something complimentary to their post, or you can tell them again, I sent you a DM. And we still use the same strategy, which would be the general question about, is this the best place to ask a question? Or it would be an industry specific question like, what products do you sell, or which services do you provide? And then once they engage, we again tell them that we created an AI based on their website or based on their page, and if they'd be open to checking it out. You also have good ways to stand out. For example, you can see this guy, he has 200 followers and he posted a story. Really nice way to engage with him would be to go to his story and then reply through that, because that will put you at the top and is going to make you stand out again. You can compliment, and then you can ask him questions. A ton of these people, they will get text-based pitches, which is why if you send a video DM or a voice note, you are going to stand out. And output is everything right now. So you want to stand out and you want to be able to get people interested. And just to recap really, really briefly, we use hashtags to engage people. That could be real estate, car detailing, e-commerce brands, specific products that e-commerce brands are selling. Then you engage with them through their stories and their posts. You follow them, you like their posts, and you comment before you DM. And then you can pitch the idea of an AI that you already created and get them on a call to sell it. The next outreach strategy that we have is over school. The best way to engage people in school is by engaging in posts and then DMing people with something industry specific. If you need level 2 to DM people, you can create an intro post, and I'll create a script for an intro post that works in the course below so you guys can copy it. But essentially what we want to do is we want to join a few different groups, get level 2, and then once you can DM people, you're actually looking to engage with or compliment people on a post. What we want to do is we want to join a few different groups and get level 2, and then once we can DM people, we want to look for posts that we can engage with or compliment. And this is a good post. You can see that he is engaged in the community and that he's already seeing some success with his e-commerce business. So what you want to do here is you want to compliment their success or their journey, or engage with the post if it's a question about anything specific. Type that in the comment where you compliment or engage, and then you say, I sent you a DM. And this will make sure that they actually go out of their way to find your DM and respond to it. And then on school especially, because posts are so individual, what you want to do is you want to make it a little bit more personalized here. So you mentioned how you like their post, or in this case, you could mention how you're impressed that he actually started dropshipping at 15. You thought that was really cool. And then that you're actually just starting out as well, and you're creating AIs that you are implementing into e-commerce brands so that they can give quick responses and support to their customers. And then there are a few ways that we can really stand out in a school community and where we can actually reach a lot more people. And this usually works better even with smaller groups or some large groups where you have really active owners and admins where you can get permission from them. But what we want to do is we want to DM the owner or the admin and then tell them that you've been creating free AIs for the community, which would be either e-commerce brands, service-based businesses, anything like that, that if they like it, they can keep it if they want to, but tell them that you're doing it for the learning experience and you think that their audience would love it. I'll put the script down below as well for the message that you can send to the admins, and then the post that you'll be posting once they approve it, because this is a super efficient way to reach a lot of people and then just show them that you're essentially providing value to the community and there's no risk in it for them. Because essentially everybody wants to save time and make more money, and then we want to keep the messaging super simple, takes 5 seconds to read and understand, and then in general just keep in mind that with outreach, super simple messaging converts. And finally, then input is everything. Cold outreach is all about volume. As Alex Hormozi says, no one knows who you are, and you should spend at least 4 hours a day changing that. So if you spend 4 hours a day on cold outreach and iterate messaging slightly depending on what you find out resonates with your industry and niche, you're 100% going to get a client within a few days. And if you guys have any industry or niche specific questions, please ask them in the school group. We'll do our best to answer all of them, and you'll probably also get input from the amazing community that's in there. We really appreciate everyone that shares their own experiences or their own value in there. We really appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for watching. This video is going to be an extended version of how you do LinkedIn DMs via groups. So how we find the groups is under linkedin.com/feed. You go to groups. The way you find groups is by searching on keywords for your niche. So it could, for example, just be real estate. Very, very simple. And then what we want to make sure we do is we filter by groups. So you head up here and you click groups. Yeah, I spelled real estate wrong. So yeah, we did mean real estate. And then you get all of these options to join real estate groups. And as you can see, some of them you can just view post and you can just join. But most of them, they are going to be private. Also, the best groups, they are private. But what you want to do in here is you want to go to view post, and essentially what we want to do is we want to go and show all members. And you probably know this by now, but you can search any letter up here, and then you get the highest ranking LinkedIn profiles. Very, very simple way. This works with every single letter to get the highest ranking LinkedIn profiles. And you can keep going ahead and ahead. And then the way that we do it is we click on message, message, and message. So we usually open up 3 each time. So the message we usually want to go with is the industry-wide one, which works across all industries, which is, hey, first name, is this a good place to ask a question? It works. People will respond to you. But if you do want to make it a little bit more industry specific, if you're talking to a real estate agent, for example, you could talk to them about if they're mostly focusing on buyer or seller leads. Really what we're trying to do here in the initial conversation is really just bait a response, get a response from people, start some conversations. And then once the conversation is started, you could tell them that I built you an AI based on your website. Would you be open to having a quick look? And then if they ask about what it's for, you can either say that it's for handling their DMs, outreach to their leads, to book more appointments or anything like that. So it's really just about starting conversations and giving free value. Consistently getting clients is one of the hardest things about running a business, but we found that the best way to get a client's attention is an Alex Hormozi style offer where we go in, DM them, and then tell them that we created a demo and that we can send it to them so that we've already created the value. That's the best way to get their attention. And here it's important to use platforms where your ideal client is active, but we usually use LinkedIn groups. You can find a lot of different people in here, but if you know that your clients are more active on Instagram or Facebook, then you should use that, and you can use the same outreach strategy there. We found that one of the best ways is to go to a LinkedIn group, show all members, and then find CEOs in here by using the search bar. So when you use the search bar, the top profiles always come up. You can use all different letters and they'll pop up. So in here, you want to go for the vice presidents, the CEO, the COOs, and the lowest I'd usually go is the sales manager because they still have something to prove and they can still somewhat make decisions as well. So what you do is you find one that you want to DM and you either hit them with a super niche question about their industry that they would be prone to respond to, or you can go for a more general approach, which is this one. Is this the best place to ask a question? It works in every single industry. It gets people's attention and they usually reply yes. And once we actually get a response, we want to send them something along the lines of, I actually created an AI demo based on company names, website. Do you mind if I send it over? And once you get a yes, you want to go to testmyprompt.com and build an AI in 5 minutes that you can send to them. You just give it a name that you want them to see, you pick the industry they're in, you pick the language, and you choose either sales or support AI. Then it autofills the whole thing, and if you want to, you can actually add your own questions in here. And then you can import all their company information from their website by clicking import from website page and turn into FAQ. Once you have the build, you click on it, you go to test agent, change the name to whatever you want it to be up here. You can also enter a logo if you want to make it super personal, and then you can also change around the colors if they have some company colors that you want to fit the demo. You choose the build. You can also change the initial message that they see, and then once you've done that, you can create a demo for them. Usually I'd give them 20 to 50 responses to make sure they're not going to overuse your API. And then once you click create demo, you're going to get a shareable link that you can send to them. And then once you've copied this link, you can actually send it to them on LinkedIn, and this is what is going to pop up, and they can just try the AI for themselves. So what's super important as well is once you've actually sent them an AI, make sure to follow up with them consistently to see if they're actually interested and if they checked it out. And what you're going to see is that a lot of these deals, they're going to come through from the follow-up, because yes, initially they are interested, and once they have the demo, they may not be as motivated to go through it. So that's why following up is very, very important, and that the majority of the deals are going to come through from consistent follow-up. And the reason this works so well is because you go in and you create a demo for them personally. They'll open up this site and they haven't seen anything like it before. And once they're curious, you want to go for a one-to-one meeting and book them in. And you can do this in two ways. You can either set it up manually by messaging them and asking them, or you can send them a booking link through your website, which looks more professional. In the next video, I'll show you how to build this credibility with a website, how you get a phone number, how you take payments, and also how you can get this booking link that you can send to your customers. Alright, welcome back. This video is going to be all about how to build credibility for your early stage company. So setting up your website, getting a phone number, and having a way to charge your clients is an absolute must. So we actually decided to give you guys a website template, which is basically the website that we've been using all along. And it has our onboarding service in there, and it has our booking page in there, and it basically set up a website to look super, super legit. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy this link and insert it to your browser. And if you have Go High Level already, you're going to see something like this, where you're going to click on import snapshot to this account. But if you don't have a Go High Level account, then you're going to want to head over to the Setup Go High Level guide here that Albert actually made, and he'll guide you through how you set up Go High Level. If you haven't set that up yet, go there, set up Go High Level, and then come back here. As you can see, we imported the snapshot now. Head over to sub account. So once you have the snapshot imported, you're going to click on add sub account. You're going to find the snapshot in imported snapshots. You're going to select and continue, press on add manually, and I'm going to fill this out real quick. Once you've filled out the initial sub account manually, then you're going to get taken to this page, and you've now applied the snapshot that you've gotten from us onto this sub account. So what you're going to do is you're going to switch over to the sub account that you've just created, and you're going to find the website under sites. The first thing you'll see is funnels. And under funnels, we've given you our booking page and we've given you our onboarding survey. The booking page, as you can see here, by clicking edit, is going to allow you to set in your own logo, and it's going to bring you to a Calendly page. So you can send this to your customers and they can actually select the time in your calendar. What you need to do is you'll set up a calendar and you have your own availability in there, and then people can actually book a time. And this is the template, so you need to make sure you're changing the company names, the logos, and then inserting your own calendar. And then we have the onboarding survey, which is for A2P. And depending on what country you are going to start phone numbers in, it's either going to be A2P or regulatory bundle access. And the information is often going to be the same, but what you can do is you can click on edit and it's going to take you to this page. And this is the onboarding survey that you're going to be sending out to customers after the initial meeting. And if you want to change any of the initial questions that you have here, you can click on edit survey, and it's simply going to take you to the builder where you can change anything you want. So yeah, this is the onboarding survey that we use in Australia and in the US, because those are the countries that we operate the most in. But yeah, feel free to change anything in here or use this as inspiration and create your own one, and make sure you can send it to your clients. And then finally up here, you can switch to websites. And this is where we've given you the full website template. This is the main page, and here you can add your privacy policy or your terms of service. You can have ChatGPT help you create those and then add them into here. But to check out the main page, click on edit. And again, this is a template, so you can add your logo up here, and you feel free to change any taglines, any titles, anything in here, any services that you're going to be offering. This is basically your website now. Update your logos, update your contact information, your business name, everything in here. Once you've done that, you click save and you can publish it to your own domain. So you can spend a bit of time going in, changing the website, maybe changing the colors, put in some logos, change a little bit around in what services services you offer. And then once you've done that, what you want to do is head over to settings. And under settings, you want to go to phone numbers. And under phone numbers, you're going to go to add new number. So once you've found a phone number that you want, you proceed to buy. And then down in the bottom right corner, it's going to tell you what to do. And in this case, it's going to have you register for A2P. So once you've registered for A2P, Albert has made a video. It is on step 4, how you set up A2P. So again, depending on what country you're setting up a phone number in, this is going to be the guide that shows you how to actually set it up. So essentially what we've done now is 2 things. We've set up your website to have a booking page, an onboarding survey, and to look legit. And then we've set up a phone number for you to call. It could be outreach. It could also be for inbound. Basically anything that you would need when you have to communicate with customers in the country that you want to do business in. The last thing we need is Stripe to take payments, and you'll need a business to set up Stripe. And here you have 2 options. Most countries have an option to set up a sole proprietorship or an individual business for free with minimal obligations. This is the way that me and Albert started back in the day, back in Denmark, and this is perfectly fine in the beginning. You'll use it for signing contracts. You'll also use it to set up A2P. However, if you're in a country that don't have this option, or you're in a country where Stripe is not allowed, you do have a second option. You can set up a company in the US. That way you can access Stripe, you can get a tax ID, and you can get a US bank. What I would recommend here is using services like firstbase.io or Doula. You can look into the different options. You can also do some research yourself, but essentially it's about setting up a company that will have access to Stripe if you live in a country that doesn't allow the use of Stripe. Now, once you have your Stripe account set up, this is how you create the payment link that you are going to be sending to your customers. And the way you're going to be setting it up is you're going to add a new product. So once you've clicked add new product, you're going to want to add a name. You can use something like checking card if that's what you want to do. The description doesn't really matter either. It's just about what you want to put here and how you want to sell it. Make sure that you do click on recurring. That way you're actually going to have the card on file instead of just charging it once and then needing approval every single time. So this will allow you to set up something automatic, something recurring, whether that's a retainer or that's something result-based per appointment. It's up to you. And then what you're going to put in, you're going to put in $1. If you put in $0, it's always just going to succeed. So it's not actually going to check the card. So that's why we have the $1 offer. It's actually just to check the card to make sure that it's good. You don't include the tax in the price, and you just set the billing period to yearly. And once you've done that, you click on add product. And then once you have the product, you're going to click on create link. And this link is just the link that you're going to be sending to every single customer to get their credit card on file. And once you have the credit card on file, you can set up the payment however you want. Just make sure that it's according to what you've already agreed on with the client and what's in the contract. So with you having a website set up with a booking page and an onboarding survey and general information, you having a local phone number and a Stripe account, this is the optimal setup for showing credibility early stage. And the reason we want to do this is because a lot of companies will want this type of credibility before working with you. So once you have a website, the phone number, and Stripe, you won't run into any of these initial early stage objections from customers, which means you're ready to make real sales on meetings. And that's what we're going to go into in the next video. This video is going to be about the initial sales call and the first meeting that you'll have with the client, where he's on to find out more about your services and what you're offering, and you're there to find out more about his business and his pain points so that you can position the AI to actually help his business. But before we go into the sales call itself, you want to make sure that you're recording every single sales call. That way you can listen to them again. A natural thing that's going to happen is that you're going to listen to the sales calls, see a lot of gaps where you're not explaining things properly or where you could have said something else, and just listening into it and understanding those things will make you a way better salesperson, will make you more articulate, and make sure you're asking better questions and drawing better conclusions as well. You can either record them yourself, or you can actually use this link. I usually use fathom.video. It just records all your meetings and then puts them on the website. I primarily use it to record meetings and ask for action items just to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And then you can actually also make it write up the next meeting agenda depending on what was discussed and what was said on the meeting. Yeah, pretty cool tool. Check it out if you want to. Just make sure you're actually recording the sales calls and listening to them again. Now for the sales call, I've tried to keep as much scripting out of this as possible, because one thing that is going to help you immensely is do not go off the script too much, because what you need to understand is a sales call is a framework. So the framework is getting to know where are they right now and what is the solution. And then of course there is the closing part as well. But once you get a hang of the framework instead of just following a script, that's also when you improve immensely and will be able to have better sales calls and sell easier. With that being said, I always use the same start, so I guess that is kind of a script. I always say, hey, thank you for hopping on. This meeting is just going to be figuring out if it would even make sense to partner up. So just a couple of questions to see if and how I can help you, and if we can, I'll let you know what we have to offer, how it works, and everything. Super, super simple. It sets expectations and it doesn't sound salesy whatsoever. So what you want to do is you want to set those clear expectations, frame it as a partnership, and that the meeting will just be figuring that out. Remember, you're not selling AI, you're selling outcomes. Businesses don't really care about AI, to be honest. They care about money and they care about customers. That's why we're here. So whether that's more sales, less manual work, more time saved, it doesn't matter. Just focus on the outcome. And then of course the tech is cool at some part, and that's what you go into in the demo, but just focus on outcomes. Now, the first question you want to ask them is, if they booked the meeting themselves, you ask them, what made you schedule a meeting with us today? And if they said yes to a meeting and you outreach to them, you can always ask them, what interested you about using AI? And once you understand why they're on the meeting, you want to give them a quick rundown of what it is that you're offering and what the outcome is in one sentence. You just want to make sure that it aligns with what they're interested in. What I usually tell people is that we develop customized AIs and we add them to their sales process that engages and follow up with their leads to help find interested customers and drive more revenue. It's super simple to understand, and it's also a big part of the sales is actually getting across the table what you're selling and making it super, super clear to them. Besides that, we need to make sure that we're in control and we are the authority, we are the expert on the call. So there's two things you want to keep in mind is maintaining authority by being the expert and being the one leading the call. Think of it as an interview. Albert and I, we often refer to this as the doctor approach. And the reason why we call it that is because when you go to the doctor, he doesn't just give you some pill that may or may not help you. He asks you a series of questions to understand your situation. Like, where does it hurt? How long has it been going on for? To really narrow down the pain point and then provide the solution, the pill. You need to be doing the same thing and ask good questions and genuinely be curious. And by being genuinely curious, you're going to get more and more information. And with that information, you now need to put yourself in the expert position. And this is why we've made you build the AI first, because you're now an expert. You know how the AI works, you know how it gets result, and you can be confident in your own solution, which helps your sales immensely. Because at the end of the day, people, they buy from calm, confident expert and not needy closers. And understanding this will get you super, super far in sales and will make selling super easy as well. And usually how you do that is by asking good questions. So if you want to qualify somebody, these are some of the questions that we usually use. You don't go through them all. If you're at an early stage, I would say skip most of this. Of course, you need to understand what they do and what customers they're targeting. So ask those questions, but you don't need to overqualify here in the beginning. So now is actually when we start asking these questions that will give us the information that we use to conclude if we're a good fit to work together. The first question is, are you currently using AI in your business? And we obviously already know the answer to this, but we ask the question because it makes them instantly wonder if they should be using AI in their sales process. And then to understand how we can implement the AI into their sales system, we ask them about the whole thing. So asking them to briefly give us an overview of how they're generating leads and how they're turning those leads into sales. This is probably the most important question of the whole sales call. Once they've answered that question in depth and you've maybe asked a few more questions to get clarity, this is where you want to position the AI in their sales process. So an example of this could be, if we implemented the AI on all the leads that don't pick up the phone initially that your sales call is reaching out to, and then book them in with the sales team, would that fit into your sales process? So right there, we used the words that he used to describe his sales process back to him while we implemented the AI into it. And we asked them this to get a confirmation that they see the bridge between the AI solution and their own sales team. And if they don't initially understand that, we actually get an opportunity super early into the call to dig into why there is a bridge and how we can actually help them. Now we want to understand a little bit about their funnel and what kind of metrics and prices they're seeing in terms of their lead costs, because this is what we're going to use to price our AI. The three questions that we want to ask is, how much are you paying per lead? What percentage of the lead pick up the phone? What's your cost per acquisition? And the cost per acquisition question, you can leave it out if you are not interested in doing a revenue share deal. You can always ask it to get a better feel for their business or more information. But if you want to go for an appointment-based deal, you ask those two questions. And then you divide the lead cost with their response rate to get their current cost per call. And then once you've calculated it, you always want to confirm with them to make sure you guys are on the same page. So if you pay $30 per lead and 30% respond, you're paying $100 per call, correct? And they're going to say, yeah, something along those lines, or yeah, that's a good average. Basically, just get confirmation here. Because again, then if they don't understand, we want to just break down the math and show them how we actually got that result. Once we're on the same page here, we want to go towards the solution. I like to transition over into the solution by saying, appreciate all the answers, the interrogation is over now, because we just asked them a lot of questions and this always makes them laugh, which is always a great thing. But if that's just not your vibe, you can always just skip to the next step, which is concluding by saying that one of our clients had the exact same issue with the exact same sales process. You just want to make sure that you're very elaborate on the pain point and you explain the pain point back to them almost better than they explained it to you. And then before you show the demo, you just want to briefly explain what the demo is and how you will implement it into their current sales process. Then you want to walk them through a real AI conversation, something that you tested before that shows them something specific about their business and you know will impress them. And it actually doesn't take that much because these people are not used to seeing AI like this. So once you've shown them the conversation, you can let them try on their own. And they usually go through like a super generic flow, which is fine. It's just really just to make sure they understand it and see the potential in it. And they're going to be impressed even though it looks super generic to us. Once you've done this, if you have a case study, this is now you want to show it. You want to focus on the results, show a good and real conversation with a customer, and show a calendar that you book appointments into. And then you can also show an overview of campaign results where you include the response rates and the booking rates. And then after the demo and the case study, you want to ask them, what did you think of the AI and do you think this could help you convert more leads? If you see that they're hesitant, you want to ask them directly why they think it wouldn't work for their business in particular, and then address those concerns directly. And then once you get past the hesitation, you want to go into the pricing discussion. And once you go to the pricing discussion, you really want to emphasize and focus on the result-based model. Not only does it show a lot of confidence that we can do this without getting a super high upfront cost first, but it also shows that we're going out of our way to make it risk-free for them. And then once they understand that, you want to go in and make it clear to them that we are trying to lower their current costs, which in this case could be appointments, for example. So you'll say, we always aim to cut down your current costs. This is super powerful because right now you're comparing their current cost to something that would be cheaper. So it's very, very hard to say no. Another way to approach this, which could make the sale even easier, is to do a revenue share deal. And you can use the cost per acquisition number they gave you earlier and ask them if their usual cost per acquisition is $2,000, then you could do a revenue share at $1,000 or $1,500 per new sale. And then if they're hesitant in any of these two scenarios, you can always just ask them why. And then a really, really good question to follow up with if they're still hesitant is asking them how likely they are to close a sale on somebody that hasn't picked up their phone in a week. And they'll start to understand why it is that you do what you do. And then once we get a yes from them and once they understand the value that we're providing, you want to close the sale by pitching the pilot. Explain to them that you want to run a pilot with two different buckets of leads, which is their age leads and their newer leads. And then this is what I usually say. You can alter this to the industry and the offer that you have. But again, this is just to give you guys an example. And then I always just say, does that sound good? And then usually they actually say yes, because this is a really, really strong offer and it's actually a really interesting test for a company to do as well. Once they say yes to the pilot, you want to send them the $1 Stripe link subscription payment. And then if they are hesitant, I have these two questions that I always ask and I love asking them. First question is, if you were to run the pilot, what would make you regret it? And it's a super good question because it often leads straight back to their real objection, which you can then address. And the second question is, what would make this a no? And this is a question I usually use when they need to think about it or if they need to address this with somebody else. If you ask this question, it usually always brings out the real objection that the business owner himself has. And then once you get past any objections, you want to tell them that you usually take payment on meeting and you'll send them a link now and what card they want to put it on. It's a super easy way to close it and it's a very natural way of closing it as well. And then once you get the payment out of the way, you want to set up a meeting. But before you set up the next meeting, you want to go through and set some expectations. You tell them that you'll go over the questions about their business and the contract on the next meeting. And if they need to pull any leads or data from their CRM, you ask them if they can have that ready for the next meeting as well. So you want to use this opportunity to set some expectations, and then you want to set up another meeting within 1 to 2 days. 1 to 2 days usually works best because it's early after the sale and you'll see way better results with 1 to 2 days than doing it a week ahead. I've added everything I talked about here into the script, so you can find that below. And then I've added a bonus. I've added all the objections that I usually get to help you guys not fumble as many sales. And trust me, it will still happen, but in this way, you'll be more prepared for it. And then you'll find everything you need to know about onboarding in the next video. Alright, welcome back. This video is going to be about the whole onboarding meeting, and I've made sure to zoom in this time. Sorry about the last video. Hopefully you'll be able to see it perfectly fine here. Essentially what the onboarding process looks like is we want to get their business information through the onboarding survey, then we want the contract signed, and then if you haven't collected the $1 Stripe payment yet, that's fine, but this is the meeting for it. Then we also want to dig a bit into their technical setup, meaning what CRM they're using, what calendar they're using for appointments, and if they have any promotions that you could use with them, or if you guys should create one together. When onboarding, you have two different types of clients. You have ones that are super motivated and proactive to get started right away, and then you have the ones that are more slippery. They think they're very busy, and they're quite difficult to get onboarded. A good approach to capture both is send them an email right after the initial sales call with an agenda for the next meeting. The idea is that we take the lead and we make sure that we're super clear about what the next meeting is about. Plus, it also makes the whole process look a lot more professional. And if they want to be proactive, they can fill out the onboarding survey and they can look through the agreement. But if they're not proactive, they will just have the email ready for them in the inbox when you guys are going on the next call. So now they either filled out the onboarding survey or they didn't. And either way, you want to pull up the onboarding survey, either the one that they responded to or the blank one. And then you want to go through it with them to make sure that they didn't misunderstand any questions and that everything's good. You'll find the onboarding survey under site or website and go to surveys and then submissions. And then you'll see them in here. If you have multiple, then you'll find the onboarding survey in here. And then once you have the onboarding out of the way, ask them if they had the chance to read through the agreement. If they did, then ask them if they had any questions, and if they didn't, which is way more likely, then just tell them take 5 minutes to read it, no rush at all, take your time, and then tell them that you sent them an email with the agreement in it after your meeting last week and help them pull that up. Usually they don't really have a lot of questions about it. It's quite a simple agreement. It's really just formalizing what you spoke about on the initial meeting, but just make sure to clarify or address any questions. Now, once they've looked at the agreement, if you haven't taken payment yet, there's no reason at all that you shouldn't be able to take payment now. So send them the link. You either saved it or copy it from Stripe like I showed you in the last video, and tell them that while they fill out the link, you're going to get the contract ready to send to them. What getting the contract ready means is you take the information that you got from the survey and you put it into the contract template. And then once you've done that, you can send them a DocuSign, which is a bit more formal and 100% legally binding. But to be honest, in the beginning, Albert and I, we just signed most of our contracts on the computer, and our clients did the same. You can use Adobe Acrobat if you're on Windows, or you can use Preview if you're on Mac. And just to show you, this is where you'll put in their information. So by going into Preview and using this button right here, you can actually sign the agreement. And then you can put it in here, and then once you save it, it's applied. And then you'll use the same button to type in your name and your title. And then once you've typed in the information, make sure to save it and then send it over to them to do the same thing. So now you should have gotten all their company information from the onboarding survey. You have a signed agreement and the payment link is filled out. So the last thing you need depends a little bit on what kind of deal you're doing and can vary a little bit from company to company. If you need any integrations into their CRM or their calendars, this is where they share access to your email. And if they're sending you some of their leads from their database for you to work on, this is also where they send over the data as well. So now you should be all set from their side. If you want to give them access to the conversations in ManyChat or Go High Level, ask them what email they want to use to log in. Then send them a brief 30-second video on how the system works, where they can find the dashboard, where they can find the conversations, etc. Now you give them a time frame on how long it will take for you to build out the AI and also build out the system, and then you schedule a check-in with them around that time. I usually tell them that we set a meeting between 5 to 7 days where either everything is ready to go or I'll have an update for them. We don't need it to be within a few days this time because we have all the commitment we need from them at this point. So you can take your time with getting the AI ready, getting the system ready, and then the next meeting will just be about finalizing any details if needed, and then having that final meeting before you actually launch the campaign. So that's what the next video will be about. Alright, this meeting is going to be the final meeting before you launch the campaign. And this meeting should be super brief. It's really just a check-in. We call it the pre-campaign and integration meeting. We use this meeting to double check that everything we need, such as contract signed, payment link filled out, and that they sent leads over if that's the part of the deal. And we can also run a check on the integrations that we made into their CRM or their calendar. You also want to make sure that they have the login information for ManyChat or Go High Level to see conversations, and that they understand the platform and they watched the video that you sent them. Now you want to give them an update on the development and tell them when you expect everything to be complete. Whether it's ready for launch now or in a few days, just set clear expectations around when you start the campaign and when they can expect to see results. Once you've set clear expectations, set up a performance meeting where you'll go over the AI conversations and the results. And we usually set this meeting about 5 to 7 days after we launch to give the AI some time to generate results. The performance meeting is probably one of the most important meetings because it's going to define the partnership and decide if they want to continue running the AI services that you're providing. So in the next video, I'll show you how to run a successful performance meeting. This video is going to be about the performance meeting. One important thing that you will need to do before actually going on to the performance meeting is taking a look through the conversations, take a look at the AI results and write down some improvements that you see yourself, identify if there was any issues, and then bring those to the client so that they can see that you're actively working on improving the AI as well. Performing meeting is definitive, and the point of this meeting is to address any concerns they may have and show them that the AI is a valuable asset to their business by asking good questions. And depending on what AI services you are providing them, the questions are going to vary, but essentially you have a lot of good questions here that you want to ask them. And by asking these questions, you'll find out if they ran into any issues, and if they did, you want to focus on acknowledging these issues and addressing them. In this situation, the customer really needs to feel heard in this situation and needs to see that you understand and will work on the feedback that they're providing. You'll also find out here if the solution is making a difference in their business and be able to compare the results you're giving them with the ones they are achieving themselves. So it's important to compare and conclude those results when you can. For example, when you ask about their pickup rate on their appointments and they tell you it's 60% on the ones that you sent them, and that's significantly higher than the pickup rate they mentioned in the beginning, make sure to use that information and conclude by saying, oh, that's great. If I remember correctly, you usually have about 30% of people pick up the phone. So 60% is a huge bump. Why do you think that is? And then have them do the conclusion. The point is, every time you can make a comparison and make them understand what value you're adding. The final question is, and you want to personalize this to their feedback and the services you're offering. Do you want to continue engaging the leads over text with AI and keep these appointments coming? You can also add their concerns into the question by saying, if we make the AI sound more human, or once we make the calendar integration more seamless, do you want to continue? Once they answer, you want to set very, very clear expectations on how you'll be proceeding, whether it's fixing something before you start again, resuming the AI, or just the need to send over more leads. Depending on what it is, you want to make sure to set up another meeting in a few days, or if you just resume the campaign, set it up in another week. Once you've set the expectations and another meeting, you can finish off the meeting by saying, do you know anyone else that could use this? Then let them respond and open up to the idea of a referral where they get paid 20% of the revenue. And then once you've had a good performance meeting, this is the beginning of a very long and good partnership, because it already sets the standards that you will always be on the lookout for their AI. They'll see that you're actively working towards getting the AI to a point where you can both just relax and not take a look at every conversation, and that the system itself is working and providing the business real value. And there's no reason that you guys wouldn't continue to work together until the end of time. So this is the last video of the current launch that we did. And if you did watch to the end, please let me know. I'd love to see who actually watched this far. And on the post, please give any feedback on what we can do to improve. We won't get mad if you have negative feedback. We actually love it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, peace.